Hello! Welcome back to my series about deck archetypes in KeyForge. Today's episode is called Combos and Cheats, and I'll be talking about Age of Ascension. This set is not great, but it still manages to find itself in the top divisions of the NKFL. Despite having a low average card quality, the set is home to many powerful combos. When the conditions are right, those combos lead to large quantities of amber. Combined with key cheats, these decks can go over the top of almost anything. So this archetype is on the aggro side of the spectrum, since it's less concerned with the opponent's game plan as it is with setting up its own combos. With a game plan of setting up combos, good draw order is imperative. To ensure success, you want to draw your entire deck so that you can see all the cards in your deck. Thankfully, Age of Ascension boasts the incredible Martian Generosity, which solves this card draw order problem by drawing 12 or more cards when set up correctly. So here I've written up a Martian Generosity formula for how many cards you would draw after playing it. P represents the amount of amber in the player's pool at the start of their turn. M is the number of Mars creatures in their board. If they have 4 Mars creatures, then M is 4, representing the 4 amber they would gain from reaping 4 times. A represents the amber you would gain from cards played and their effects. And then there's an additional 1 for Martian Generosity's own bonus. So you have a total of P plus M plus A plus 1 amber, and you lose all of that and draw 2 times our sum. So for example, if you start the turn with 5 amber, no Mars creatures on board, and the only thing you play is Martian Generosity, then P is 5, M and A are 0, and so you get 5 plus 1 equals 6 for the sum times 2. So you are losing 6 amber and drawing 12 cards, 2 times 6. When combined with other cards like Glixel Proliferator and even Mars First to do it immediately, you can archive the Martian Generosity and draw even more cards on later turns. When pushed to its limit, this card can draw your entire deck, which means that all of the possibilities of your other houses are available to you. And with enough cards drawn and a key abduction, you can forge a key, usually for free, forming the infamous Genka combo. And here we have a key abduction formula, which represents the condition required for forging a key with the card. This formula only applies after Martian Generosity has been played, so the Mars creatures are considered to be exhausted. And the total amber is 0 because it was all lost to Martian Generosity. Key Abduction says we can forge at the current cost plus 9, which is usually 15 total, and then the cost is reduced by 1 for each card in your hand. Your Mars creatures are also returned from the board, so those will be added to the cards in your hand. So that's where you get M plus C, where C is equal to the hand size minus the number of cards we've played, plus the number of cards we draw with Martian Generosity. We want M plus C plus 1 to be greater than or equal to 15. So I'm going to evaluate the left side of this formula by putting in the value for C here, and then also the formula for Martian Generosity's draw, and then plugging in some numbers. So we have 0 for the Mars creatures on the board, 6 for the number of cards in hand, minus 2 for playing Martian Generosity and Key Abduction. And then we have the formula for Martian Generosity's draw. We started the turn with 5 amber, 0 again for the Mars creatures, 0 for amber from other card effects, and then 1 for Martian Generosity's amber, and then finally plus 1 for the amber from Key Abduction. And this evaluates to 16 is greater than 15, which means that in our example earlier, where if all we played was Martian Generosity and drew 12 cards and we drew into Key Abduction, or we already had Key Abduction in our hand, we would be able to forge a key. In fact, what this also means is that if you reduced P to 4, you would still get 15 equals 15, which means you only need to start your turn with 4 amber in order for this to work. So going back to that formula, but just with variables, we can simplify the expression, and what we can do is combine the M terms from the key abduction formula and the Martian generosity formula, so that in the end here, we get H, which is the hand size, plus 2P plus 3M plus 1 is greater than or equal to 15. So this is the condition we're trying to satisfy for forging a key. And we can see by the factors of each of these terms how much each of these sources contribute to the potential of forging a key. So the P term for the amber in the pool has a factor of 2. So that means that it matters twice as much as how many cards are in the opponent's hand. And we have a factor of 3 in front of the M for the number of Mars creatures. So that means that Mars creatures actually contribute the most towards the opponent's ability to forge a key with key abduction, because they reap for an amber, which turns into 2 cards, and then they're returned to hand. So essentially, if you're trying to stop your opponent from forging with key abduction, it's going to be really hard to do that if you are leaving them with a board of Mars creatures. I will note that it is usually worth playing cards for their amber before playing Martian Generosity, such that A is not 0, because of the fact that you're drawing 2 cards for every amber gained. One of the best examples of amber per cards is Xanthix Harvester plus Mars First, because you can ready the Xanthix Harvester and reap with it for 2, so it's 3 from those cards if the Xanthix Harvester comes in exhausted.
Genka is the do-everything combo. It sets up the other combos in your deck while forging a key. And that makes this the #1 combo in this archetype. Another fantastic combo from the set is the so-called Ganger Knot, featuring Ganger Chieftain and Drummer Knot. This combo doesn't forge keys or draw cards, but if left unanswered, can gain upwards of 6 amber every single turn. The general counterplay to this strategy is simply maintaining a board of creatures, but the house features cards like Coward's End and Champion's Challenge, which can destroy all that anyway and lead into the combo. So it's a proactive combo that's a threat right from the start of the game, making it the #2 combo in this archetype. Brobnar also happens to feature Might Makes Right, a awesome key cheat which lets you sacrifice your creatures to forge a key for free. For the most aggro deck possible, Untamed makes a great pairing because it features another key cheat, Key Charge. And this house features some surprising burst with cards like Soldiers to Flowers, so it can gain the last amber you need to win the game, and is an excellent follow-up to Martian Generosity. If you don't have Martian Generosity in your deck, a highly efficient Logos is a must. The archiving from cards like Sloppy Lab Work or Memory Chip make this possible on a consistent basis. And if you're going to play this archetype, remember, 1 combo is not enough. You gotta be jam-packed with value these days, so you gotta have like at least 2 combos with some efficiency to pull it all together. But that's going to be it for now. The rest of Age of Ascension will have to wait for another episode.